Listen. Is that the heartbeat of my mother? My grandmother, my great-grandmother? My teachers? My earth sisters who have pulled me along this path and held me when I could not hold myself? Listen. Whose heartbeat is it for you? All this month we've spoken of our journey. Today we speak of our journey that we share as coming from an ancestral source that we all share. From our Mother Earth to the mothering energy that surrounds us now, whether it comes from male identified or female identified, or those who identify as neither or both. Nature and nurture. The ancestors carrying on in the voices of these young ones with us today. Listen. Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I feel your heartbeat. Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I feel your heartbeat. Ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, ho. Ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, ho. Ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, ho. Ah, hey, leave me just about ready for amen. Let's go home. Am I good enough? Am I pretty enough? Can I make a difference in someone else's life? Questions along this journey, from cradle to crone, from first breath to final heartbeat. Who's to say? Each journey is unique. Even though society will pressure us all to be more the same, assaulting us with images of unreasonable and unattainable perfection for both body and spirit. From the airbrushed and edited photos on the covers of magazines to the articles inside that give tips on how to fit in and how to find the perfect mate. One of my favorite memes that goes around every year as summer approaches advises how we can have a bikini body. First, it says, have a body. Second, it says, put a bikini on it. You can applaud for that. And how to fit in or get a mate? In short, the answer in some form or other can usually be summed up in one word: behave. But as the Pulitzer Prize-winning historian and author Laurel Thatcher Ulrich wrote, well-behaved women seldom make history. Ask most any 5-year-old girl if she's a mighty girl, and she will likely say, yes. Ask her again when she's 9, or 11, 13, 19, or 39. You might find a different answer. Such is the way of this world. If there are 50 women and girls in this room this morning, I can pretty much guarantee you there are 50 stories of grit and grace and gaining ground despite it all. And if there are 50 menfolk among us this morning, there are another 50 stories of amazing grandmothers and mothers and aunts and sisters and teachers, and the miracle of discovering their own nurturing nature when our society also tells them, you can't be that. But they persist. You know, Unitarian Universalists have a grand history of misbehaving. Heretics, we were called. We are called. Never forget that some of our foremothers and some of our forefathers were burned at the stake for their faith. A faith that declares all are worthy. A faith that dared to declare in the face of orthodox religions that God's love is universal and available to all, without condition, without exception, and for that, they were burned at the stake. I think about that on the mornings. I'm sometimes not necessarily feeling all that well and find it challenging to get here. Oh yeah, nobody's going to burn me at the stake for what I have to say today. In light of this great love, how shall we prepare our young ones and ourselves to live this great way? How shall we prepare ourselves in body and in spirit, and what shall we do for the ones coming behind, just like those ahead of us did for us? Those not so young but find themselves also at a place of renewal and rebirth on their own journeys, daring to begin anew, whatever age. There's another grand writer, George Eliot, a.k.a. Marianne Evans. Did you know she was a Unitarian? She said, it's never too late to be what you might have been. How shall we prepare our daughters and our sons who feel more like daughters, and our daughters who feel more like sons, and those who feel more like neither or both, who would free themselves from the gender binary construct that society dictates. On this day of trans and gender nonconforming invisibility, we do well to honor them. How do we make this world, this life, this human family a safe enough and hopeful enough and beautiful enough place for all whose lives are entrusted to ours and entwined with ours? Well, first we ground them. First we build strong foundations in the knowledge that they are whole and holy, just as they are in body and in spirit. We give them this confidence that is ballast in their own worthiness that will sustain them when the world is rocky and the world would pull them down. We give them rock-solid foundations in unconditional, all-encompassing, universal love that we believe and that we long for ourselves and for everyone, abiding by our first UU principles, to uphold the worth and dignity of every person. And our second principle, to teach kindness in all things. And our third principle, to learn to work together gracefully and generously, even when we disagree. And with our fourth principle, to gain courage to seek out truth for ourselves and let them seek out truth for themselves. And with our fifth principle, teach them fairness, that our sixth principle might be fulfilled, that peace and justice may be established in our place and in our time. All while we are living within our seventh principle that honors the interdependent web of all living things on this earth that we share. These are the foundations that we give them. And the funny thing is, when we build these strong foundations, we also give wings. Wings, sturdy enough and brave enough to carry us upward and onward. Even in moments it seems the whole world may have vanished from beneath our feet. Still we fly. Still we sing.
Be like the birds that pausing in their flight, a while unbound to slide, feels them give way beneath them, and sings and sings and sings, knowing she hath wings. Be like the bird that pausing in the flight, a bird that pausing in the flight, a while unbound to slide, and sails them give way beneath them, and sings and sings and sings, knowing she like the bird that pausing in the flight, a bird that pausing in the flight, a while unbound to slide, and sails them give way beneath them, and sings and sings, knowing she hath wings.
Look at this. Feel your wings? Did you know you have wings? Did you know they're strong enough that you can trust them when the world gives way beneath you? Have you tried them out? Have you tried them out on purpose, or has the world given you reason to test them? And still you're here. Do you know where you got them? I know where I got mine. I got them from my grandmother, who scandalized her neighborhood in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma in 1959 by wearing pants outside the house just to walk to her mailbox. She did it again a few years later when she wore capris that fully showed her ankles. I got mine from my mother, whom I only realized upon growing up had been the one holding our whole world together while I idolized my father. And I spent what remained of our time together as adults trying to make up for that with her. I got them from my 6th grade teacher, who invited me to stay after school on Fridays because I'd gotten a guitar for Christmas and she volunteered to teach me for free. I got them from my sister friends, who invited me to learn more ways to encounter a holy in my life. They invited me to Shinto temples and Shabbos dinners and to their mosques to pray on Fridays. They introduced me to Shiva and Kuan Yin and Tara and myself. I got them from my great-grandmothers, themselves born of Indian blood. But we didn't know much about that till we were grown. They'd been teaching us the ways without saying so. Because they didn't share their heritage because it would bring shame upon the family. Because they could pass and had married white men. One of my favorite things that happens when I get to sing this song is women stand up and sing, girls stand up and sing, and y'all are welcome to do that. And you're welcome to make a big racket doing it. The first line of every line of the verses is, I come from women. How hard is that? And I love it when the men folk do it too, because we all come from women. And I love it when men folk come running up to me, especially after a festival in Central Florida out in the boondocks, and they're usually wearing a cowboy hat, and they come running up and they say, I had a fierce grandmother too. I come from women who gave up their power. I come from women who gave up their name. And I come from women who know nothing ever stays the same. I come from women tender as roses. I come this room in the name of someone who dared you to be who you can be, and then helped to make it possible. Bring them here with us now. Call their energy. Feel them with us. 1, 2, 3. Maria! Wisdom. Women of fear, come on! Women who stood and then faced their fears. Women of struggle, come on! Women of free. Women who pass the torch to me. Now brothers everywhere, raise fire, high, be brave. Your voices to the sky. Brothers and sisters of the earth, shout your name, claim your worth. Here we go. I come from women. I come from women. We all do. I come from women. I come from women. One more. I come from women. Amen. We extinguish this chalice, but not the fire that burns inside, and not the light that calls us on. Anywhere you like it, honey, anywhere. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, tell the story everywhere I go. I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh. As we go out these doors again into the world, let us carry before our eyes the vision of a world transformed, and dare to do the work to transform ourselves to make it real. I think